Yo, what's cracking, folks? Welcome to episode number 7 of The Painter and the Pixie. I'm your host, Jeremy Vassar, and as always, I am joined by my lovely wife, Serena.
Hello, everybody.
And we have a new thing this week. This week's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Audible.
Audible.
You can head to www.audibletrial.com/The Painter and the Pixie to get yourself 1 month free trial of Audible as well as a free audiobook.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And we'll have the link for you guys in the show notes at thepainterandthepixie.com, as well as it'll be in the information section on any of the platforms that you're listening to or watching on. And
awesome.
if you don't know what Audible is, you will find out in this show because we explain it quite in depth. Audible is one of my favorite services that I use all the time. I have over 430 audiobooks, and in the show as well, we give you guys some of our primo Audible recommendations as far as what you should get for your first book. We also chat about some things you and I did this weekend.
Yeah, just a little recap of our weekend, some
you
seminars,
did a cool
some
seminar
production
thing.
Stuff you've done.
Yep. And
A little bit of information about brown bagging lunches.
Yep, exciting stuff there. And, we're trying to give useful, actionable intelligence, folks,
I think
in your
good job.
day-to-day.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah, and then we ended on some snow driving escapades.
Yeah, listen to the stories.
Yeah.
Gee whiz.
Yeah, everyone made it. We're fine.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. Well, without further ado, please enjoy episode number 7 of The Painter and the Pixie.
This is only the beginning.
All right, ready?
Ready?
What you're going to hear about today is nothing short of a miracle.
Well, I don't believe it.
Let's find out. Ready, set, go.
Yo, what's up, girl? How you doing?
Hello. Happy Sunday evening.
Another evening podcast.
Later night one for us.
Yeah, I was thinking that, we should probably just start viewing this as like somewhat of like a weekend task, and we could schedule it, anywhere in our spectrum of.
Yeah, we could have probably done this yesterday morning.
Yeah, I was thinking that. It's like, we don't need to have it, it's got to work around our schedule.
Yeah.
So.
But we're here now. It's all right.
It's all good. Yeah, we got to it. So I saw a movie today with my brother.
Yeah.
So tried out the old Movie Pass again. That theater was packed. So we saw
Really?
Black Panther.
Well,
Yeah.
when did that come out? It was recent, right?
I think it was this week.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it released this week. Yeah, I think it released Friday. So
Pretty new.
yeah, it was good. It was decent. So I have some qualms about it, but it's just I was prepped. Someone had said, I watched a Casey Neistat review, which doesn't usually review movies, and he said it was on par with The Dark Knight, which is the second of the Christopher Nolan Batmans.
Yeah.
And he said that the villain in this movie was like the best villain since Heath Ledger's The Joker, and it was so not even close.
Yeah, so that right there, that's
Yeah.
a big bar.
It's huge.
To reach.
Yeah.
Heath Ledger, the Joker.
Yeah, that's in my personal opinion by far the best Batman movie ever made, and also the best villain. And again, it's just my opinion in cinematic history, because the Joker, Heath Ledger, was the embodiment of chaos.
Yeah.
So, and that was just it was. If I think when you see a villain on screen and you get like the shivers, but you're looking forward to seeing the villain, that's really, I think, a mark of like a great villain, because you're like, dude, this is so crazy. And he was so believable as a psycho.
Yeah.
So, but that was, plus I'm a huge Batman fan,
Yeah.
but yeah, it wasn't, I think if I hadn't gone in with, that's always the danger.
Well, that's a really big expectation, especially hearing how much that second Batman movie, The Dark Knight, ranked for you, how much that, I don't know what it meant to you, but like knowing that was your level of expectation, they were like, yeah, it's on par. You say,
Yeah.
whoa.
I'm like, wait a minute.
I don't know.
But it's a great comic book movie. I would definitely, recommend viewing it. at
Wait,
some
did you
point.
say what you saw?
Black Panther?
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't remember if you said that. I knew that.
So we had, we'd been doing some stuff last little bit here. So
Yeah.
I know on Friday, I guess it's President's Day weekend. I know
Yep.
that's tomorrow. But you did like a seminar-ish thing on Friday.
did.
So what
I
was
did.
going on with that, with your nutrition stuff?
Yeah, on Friday I was asked a couple months ago to do a self-care talk. I don't know what you want to call it. Not quite I get the seminar. That's a good way to say that. At Lakeside. I don't know if I'm supposed to say where, but...
Oh, I think it's fine. You just say it's an alternative school, and they have a lot of counselors and stuff.
So it was a self-care workshop kind of, or seminar for all of the counselors to like have some information on how nutrition can be self-care and how to do nutrition as self-care. So it was a lot of fun. I've done this very similar lecture sort of presentation to NTA students before, but in the reverse. So at Lakeside, they do a whole lot of work with brain state regulation. Dr. Bruce Perry's work with brain state regulation. So when you have a dysregulated brain, we're just going to keep it very simple. The more dysregulated your brain is, the higher level adrenal output comes from that scenario. So the more stressed your adrenals are, the lower you are in your brain.
Right.
And then with the NTA students, we talk a lot about blood sugar regulation. And the same thing happens when your blood sugar is significantly dysregulated, you shoot your adrenal hormones up through the roof. So it's like they both can affect each other. So it was really fun to be able to kind of draw some parallels for some of the counselors there to see, here is how you've learned about brain state regulation and how that affects adrenals and how that affects stress and capacity to work and doing all the things that you need to do. Now here's another version of the same information, but with a different tripwire, right? The tripwire is your diet, the types of food that you're eating, when you're eating. It was a lot of fun. We had a really great time.
Yeah, well, I feel like that would be right up their alley too, because you can't deny the brain like regulatory effects that food has.
Yeah.
I mean, spiking blood sugar and all that stuff can be it can be super hard to find an equilibrium, particularly when you're trying to educate. And I always thought that was crazy. And I went to public school, and everything in the cafeteria was just like sugar, sugar, and then you're expecting kids to learn
and pay attention. Sit still and pay attention.
Just cramming kids full. I just remember after lunch period, people were either you're like almost dozing off, or bouncing off the walls because of all the sugar you got blasted in your face.
Yeah, and sugar and poor quality carbohydrates and these types of things. So it was really fun to be able to walk. I had 3 groups of people come through, so 3 hours in a row of the same thing, which I had not really done that before. I've done long seminars, I've done back-to-back sessions, but I've never done 3 of the exact same thing right in a row like that.
How much time did you have in between?
5 minutes, maybe.
Really? That's a quick turnaround. Yeah, did you have enough juice towards the end?
Yeah, it was fine. Okay. I was doing fine. The third group of people were awesome, but they were definitely the least engaged. Because, I mean, they had gone to other workshop groups, they had different things they could choose from to go to, and they were definitely the least engaged. Some of those personality, or if it was a blood sugar dip.
Well, that's the last, and you'd probably be the last session of the day,
and it was the last session of the day.
Yeah, that's always tough. Was it before lunch or after lunch?
I think it must have been before.
Okay.
Must have been right before, because I was there from like 8:30 in the morning till like 1 or something like that.
Right. Cool. Well, I just think that's a cool thing to be able to do and see.
It was great.
You're not just like making this malarkey up. So.
Well, it was cool because I got to talk them through. I wanted to give them enough information and not too much information to work with.
Always an issue.
Yeah, a little bit. So we talked about why digestion is important to help with self-care and how digestion works. So, digestion works from north to south. That was our big idea that they had to remember.
When I heard you hit them with the, all digestion happens, or your food basically never enters your body until it hits the small intestine.
Yeah, that one was I did a fun fact with them.
You said that the other day, and I was like, I never really thought about it.
Food is technically still outside of your body until it absorbs through your small intestines.
Yeah. So it's like in your esophagus and stuff is not really in your body. It's like a tube that goes from your mouth to your butthole.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, your digestive tract. It is pretty crazy, but that's where nutrient absorption happens in the small intestines, and that's a pretty fun fact.
So
then we talked about how digestion works, and then we talked about how blood sugar regulation works. So very simple, and I taught them all what macronutrients are. Macronutrients are proteins, carbohydrates, fats, and water. So proteins, carbs, fats are all the macronutrients that offer energy, right? Calories to the body. Yeah. And a calorie is just a unit of energy. And water doesn't really offer units of energy like that, but it's still technically a macronutrient. So we talked about how much water you should drink per day. Half of your body weight in ounces of water every day, plus 1.5 ounces for every 1 ounce of a diuretic beverage. Diuretic beverages are coffee, tea, alcohol, juice, soda, energy drinks, those types of things.
Right. Yeah. Well, That's cool. I think it'd be cool to kind of do more of those maybe in the future and
Yeah, it was a
flesh
lot
some
of
stuff
fun.
out. Yeah.
I really liked it. I had a lot of people say, "Do you have this as a recording anywhere?" I was like, "It's coming. I'm working on
Yeah.
my workshops, my online
Yeah,
program."
Well, I've been doing quite a bit of research on that.
Yeah.
So because this week we finished up a little early.
Well, and you were recording, right?
Yeah. So we kind of swapped out days because Josh had to work on tax stuff. So on Friday, instead of him taking that day off to do taxes, we filmed for our Contracting 101 course. And we got through like 6 videos. I had a way better setup.
That's great.
This week. So I had my clapper board that I think I talked about on the podcast
Oh
last
man, we
week.
should have used that today. That'd have been so fun. Next time.
Yeah, we edit that out anyway, so it
I
wouldn't
know.
matter.
That's okay. I would know.
You just want to clap the thing.
I do.
But that worked really well. I had my shotgun mic was on a really nice boom, so it was like right above whoever was speaking, and I just had a really nice smooth workflow in getting through the videos. And we did it on the white screen and actually like overexposed the white, so it has a very nice look to it that I think we're going to be able to add graphics to really easily.
Very
and,
cool.
Dubes actually already edited one of them, and it looks
All
really
right.
good. I think I showed it to you.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, that looked great.
So we're, pretty pleased, and we're learning kind of more of the ins and outs of that. And my brother told me that this other site, which is kind of a competitor to Teachable for online, courses, it's called, I don't know how they exactly pronounce it, but it's Udemy, which is Udemy. Almost like Academy, but Udemy was how I would. And I'm not sure if they're trying to get it to be like
Udemy.
you to me.
You to me, or like Academy, like you said.
But I think it's Udemy. So anyway, that's
you to me, like you are sending information to me.
I'm not sure if they were trying.
Udemy.
Correct.
I gotcha.
Correct. I'm not sure if they were going for that, but I'm not. But anyway, and they had a President's Day sale where all their courses were like $11.
Oh, okay.
And then I went on and punched around on there. But then the max of any of the course cost was $199. But then everything's marked down to $11.
Wow.
And then I was looking
That's
through
a crazy sale.
And then because Josh got like 4 courses. He got something on crypto, something on
Cryptocurrency.
Yeah, cryptocurrency. Some marketing stuff. I know he did a business one, and then something else with SEO and like email list building.
Can you remind me what SEO means?
Search engine optimization.
thank you.
Yeah, it's what Jeremiah Rizzo is super good at.
Yeah, I knew it was something like that, but I can't remember exactly.
Yeah. And so I was looking up stuff, and I found one on Photoshop and one on video, like filming, one on photography, and then one on Instagram.
Oh, that's so interesting to
So-
me. Somebody else in the NTA world, like one of the other graduates, just did a marketing thing for like, here, buy this course on how to use Instagram. Like, what?
Yeah.
How do you, what? What's that
Well,
even look like?
there was a course on Udemy for using, I think, Facebook and some other things for NTPs.
Oh, interesting.
Like specifically. So I was
Fascinating.
like, well, you probably know these people.
Yeah, probably do. I don't know. I mean, if you showed me the name, I probably would
yeah.
recognize.
But yeah, so I kind of looked through the courses, and then when I went to go put in, purchase them, I looked at like anytime a site says coupon code, like apply promo code, I always Google the site and the promo code just to see if you can get more
for
off.
sure.
And then I found they have a ton of codes, and everything's like 90% off. So I actually got it cheaper than the President's Day sale.
Wow.
I got like 4 courses for $43.
Wow.
But I'm like, oh, no one pays full price for
Yeah.
these courses.
No.
That's just like,
If you do pay full price, then that's just because you don't know how to do it yet.
well, I don't even think you could. I'd be curious to see if anyone's actually paying $200 because I think they're more constricted by the policies of that website because
Okay.
of everything's a little bit more uniform in its presentation with how they lay out the
As
courses.
opposed to
And
Teachable?
Teachable's more of like whatever you want, and people charge like real odd numbers for things, like $597.
Oh.
So like nothing like $199 or things like that. So yeah, it'll be interesting because I've got 4 courses. I'm gonna go through them. They're things that I really care about.
Yeah, it sounds really cool.
Getting better at, and yeah, I was telling you yesterday, I'm just feeling more confident with the choices I've made as far as doing this podcast. And when you kind of decide like, oh yeah, we're doing this, then it's like, yeah, just let it. I have a hard time. I think we mentioned this last week where procrastinating.
Yeah.
And procrastinating is a way to kind of wrangle your attention. And then one of the things that Jordan Peterson talks about is that your attention's not really your attention. You can't really, particularly with the things you get real obsessed about, you didn't like decide I'm gonna just completely freak out and go deep on this one thing. It's usually almost like a sucking in of something.
You're
Like
pulled into
You're
it.
pulled into. At least that's how it works for me. I don't have a big, like, hey, I'm just gonna do this. Like, I'll try it, but then if it doesn't catch or resonate, then you kind of stop.
Yeah.
So
Right. Because you need something that's going to keep the momentum going forward.
Right.
So go back and we talked about this, I think, last week, but not on the air, when you talked about Jordan Peterson's philosophy of that it's not your own. Can you talk about that a little bit more? Can you explain that?
Yeah, there's, everyone has different personalities, different character traits, all these things. And then like society kind of tells you things that you should be paying attention to. And then you kind of know that you got to pay attention to being a human is a lot of like daily maintenance. It's a lot of that kind of stuff. And then
Get up, brush your teeth, make your
right,
bed.
right. So there's kind of like a basic layer of that kind of a thing. And then part of our particularly American culture is like focused very on material wealth and building things. And that's something I've kind of tried to focus on. Like, Jeremy, really care about the money. And it never works. Like, however long I white knuckle it and hold on, I'm like, I can't do. I'd rather make the thing that I'm doing really good. And then hopefully
I hope that will generate some
like
money.
the money will come as a product of that. Cause I would do, I do a lot of stuff for free or pay to do it because it's super interesting. But like some of the hardest things that I do are not, like jujitsu. I'm paying to do that, and I get choked out constantly. So, especially Friday, I got my ass completely beat. So, so the attention thing is, I'd have to brush up a little bit more on how Jordan Peterson described it, but it's more of his thing is like, well, whose attention is it if it's not yours? And that,
like, where did that drive come from?
and I have somewhat of a theory. I'm not sure if he would line up with this, but there was a book called Thinking Fast, Thinking Slow by Daniel Kahneman, which is basically, I may butcher this, but this is what I got from it, is that you have your conscious brain and your subconscious.
Okay.
And your subconscious is gathering information constantly about everything. It's just like kind of
store this away. I'm going to take that in.
and it's almost like doing it out of the peripherals of your attention span, and then your conscious mind is trying to target focus on these little things, but then the subconscious hits a tipping point that then breaches your conscious mind. And then I think to me that's where the gut instincts come from.
Yep.
Or like when
Yeah.
you're like,
Oh, yeah, I remember telling this before.
you're like, oh no, that's a subconscious.
Something else is definitely happening here.
Yeah, like my brain has gathered enough information about this to be squeamish about this particular thing. I can't quite put my finger on why, but I know I don't. I'm like disquieted right now. And so that's what I think there's like that piece of your attention as well, is like your subconscious almost gathers this information about things, and then you kind of know, like, if I pay attention to this, it's going to go well. Like there's an opportunity here. I think that's kind of like my loose theory on how some of this works.
I could see that.
But
Yeah, for sure.
there's people that are, so I've done all these personality tests and different things, and I have unfortunately/fortunately, I test really high on empathy, which means like I really feel what other people are feeling, and it's annoying.
Yeah.
But I also, like, I get the heebie-jeebies about stuff.
Yeah.
Like if I go into a house, because I'm in a lot of homes, I've had, particularly earlier on with my brother, I've been like, dude, I got a bad feeling about this one. He's like, dude, quit being like, a pansy. Like, it's fine. Like, quit being weird. I'm like, I'm just telling you, man, it feels weird in here. And he's just like, oh, it feels weird in here. That's
Making fun of you.
Yeah. So, but usually I'm right, just because, like, more, not
Your
like
heebie-jeebie senses are fine-tuned.
yeah, but like even just knowing about people, like this, something's a little off with this guy, and I'm not 100% accurate, but I feel more of that, and then I just know, in contrast to my brother, when I'm like, yo man, you just, and he's like, oh, no, nothing, I'm fine, everything's fine. I'm like, oh, gosh, like that was so awkward. Like there was definitely something going on. But anyway, with the, the Jordan Peterson stuff, and I'm more allowing my gut instincts to take over as far as what's directing my attention. And then we all have the ability to do like a manual override and be like, no,
Right.
you have to do this thing. And I'm more letting myself pay attention to things on the back end. Like like if I don't fold my laundry, I should just fold my laundry.
Right.
It doesn't matter if I don't.
Manual override. Just do it.
Yeah.
I don't really feel like brushing my teeth. Just brush your teeth.
Right.
Just do it.
There's certain things like cleaning and that kind of thing where I'm like, this is never going to
Put it
have.
back onto autopilot.
Yeah. So.
Or on to autopilot in the first place.
Yeah.
For some of those things.
Trying to get it just so you don't have to think about it and just
Yeah.
put on a podcast and do what you got to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
So you had a very interesting Friday of recording and doing some fun stuff with Josh. I did these seminars and
Yep.
it was a lot of fun.
And then I did some more production stuff on Saturday,
Yeah, you did.
which I posted on Instagram. I don't know if I posted on the Painter and the Pixie. I think it
you
was on
might
my
have.
own. But yeah, we did. So Tim Carpenter wants to film the beginning foundations for his jiu-jitsu.
That's pretty cool. Kind of like
Stuff.
that Jiu-Jitsu 101.
Yeah, but it's mainly, it's going to probably be private for the instructors.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
So that they can, like, whoever's instructing can kind of go on YouTube and then punch it up on their phone and see the technique, and it'll all be kind of delineated for what they would be teaching the
So
beginners.
it's kind of like they get to see, here's Tim's version of here's how I want you to teach it, so there's more uniformity.
Correct. It's just
pretty-
kind of
that's
having a
pretty cool.
more, concise. Everything's kind of spelled out, and that's what we did. And one of the white belts who just started there. He's been training like a month. His name's Nick, but he's a cinematographer, and he worked for like a
that's
production house, and he's done he's filmed commercials for all these different car brands, and so it's pretty cool just to see the difference of kind of the stuff that I've done versus Nick had a legit camera, full frame Sony A7 II. Not that anyone cares,
I
but
don't know what that means,
it's a
but I
very nice
believe it's
camera.
pretty cool.
So yeah, it's a mirrorless, which is kind of the way things are going. They're transitioning from DSLRs to more mirrorless cameras, which they're just more compact and it's kind of the next step of technology
Cool.
as far as all that stuff goes. But so yeah, it was cool watching him
So-
work and picking his brain about how I film things, and
That's fun.
I'm like, yeah, man, I'm gonna annoy you a lot now because you have some stuff that I want, just as far as like, not, but it was cool. So I was the test dummy,
That's what I was going to ask.
not the guy filming. So Tim just demonstrated the instructions on me
Oh, okay.
as he talked through each thing. And actually, the funny part was, so there's a tire shop that
Yep,
owns the
yep.
whole building, and they're redoing the unit next to where the
Oh.
gym is, and they are like jackhammering stuff up.
Oh my gosh, so loud.
So like Tim would be explaining something, and he'd be like, "So this is half guard," and he'd be like, "Brrr," and just so loud it just drowned out all the audio.
Oh my gosh.
So then but it's just funny to see like Tim, who's a monster, just like he's talking to the camera, and then the jackhammer goes off, and then he just stops, waits for a minute, and then the jackhammer would stop, and then he would go back a few sentences
Just
and
pick it
start
right back
again,
up.
and then the jackhammer would start again, and you're just like,
Oh my gosh.
so good.
Wow, how long were you guys filming?
Probably like a little over 2 hours. And then I think in the future,
That's impressive
we got
with all
through
that
all the really easy beginner
sound.
foundation stuff.
Wow.
But I think we're going to end up just staying after class and doing little bits at a time, because all the other stuff is more complex than what he showed. It takes a lot more
I see.
explanation and kind of more angles and things.
So you got a head start getting
Yeah.
some stuff under your
Yeah.
belt, and then when you go back for after classes, you'll just continue moving forward.
So yeah, I didn't tell you that, but that's probably what's
Yeah,
going to
that's
happen.
cool.
Tuesdays and Thursdays, and maybe Fridays. We'll be staying after and doing some more filming.
Can't stay late on Fridays. We have family
Oh,
dinner.
That's true. Well, it depends
You already
on-
come late to family dinner.
sometimes.
Sometimes.
But yeah, so that was fun, and we had a nice lazy weekend again.
Yeah,
Just-
that's good.
Again, while we're doing this at it's probably 7:00 by now.
Oh yeah, it was after 7 when we started, man.
Sweet, getting
It's not good for Serena. I want to be engaging and interacting with
as
people.
Serena slowly fades through the episode.
Well, 7's not that bad. 7:30, it's like it's fine. But like later than that, that's when it gets a little bit more challenging for me.
Oh, and we've been I've really been wanting bagels, and then today I finally got bagels, and they are delicious.
Yeah, you made an epic sandwich with that bagel.
Man,
It's pretty good.
I don't want to steer anybody to the dark side as far as high glycemic carbohydrates, but if you're gonna, you can make some gangster sandwiches.
If you're gonna indulge.
Yeah, man. So I made an everything bagel, and what I did is,
Sorry.
if anyone hears that scratching, Gus is just going to town on his peanut butter Kong right now.
Yeah, he's very happy and it's
Yeah,
great.
he's another towel there, so it's not so scratchy.
I'm upset about that. Everything bagel.
Yeah, so I got everything bagel, and this was after I already eaten like a blueberry bagel and a half with cream cheese. So good. Yeah, I did 2 eggs scrambled.
It is not January, folks.
No, definitely not. And then butter in the little saute pan. Did it as like one big, not like an omelet, just like one big kind of egg patty.
Yeah, okay.
And then melted Swiss cheese on top of that. A little bit of
Swiss cheese.
Dijon mustard and mayonnaise on the everything bagel after it was toasted. And then 2 strips of bacon. And
Oh yeah, the
it's
bacon was delicious.
awesome.
It was awesome. It was pretty good.
yeah.
I think that we really do need to get into this whole bread game and start using some to make healthier versions of bread. Not that we're gonna eat it all the time, but
Right.
what if we made our own everything bagels and made this sandwich and it was like a sourdough and just the 3 ingredients that you use to
Yeah.
make sourdough: water, flour, and sugar.
Did you make,
Do you even use sugar?
I don't know,
Water and flour. I think that's
maybe
it.
to feed the yeast if you were
No, I think it's
doing
just
this
water
out,
and
but I don't
flour.
think there's any sugar in it.
So, which is great. That's way better than any of the other bagels you can buy that have, all kinds of other ingredients in them.
Did y'all make bagels at your bakery?
No.
No?
No, we didn't do any kind of bread. All
Oh, really?
sweets.
Okay,
Cakes
so
and
just-
scones bakery.
Okay. So like a scone was the closest thing
Yeah, probably.
to that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, no breads. No bagels.
Yeah, we
none of
still,
that.
I feel like that should be our March thing.
Yeah.
Like starting to get some heirloom
it'd be
grains
fun.
and start doing that stuff. Mm-hmm. I also think that, I know Joe Rogan gets heirloom grain pasta from Italy.
Whoa.
And he says it's super good. You don't feel nearly as crappy because it's heirloom grain. It's all burr milled and all that stuff. And
And fresh, I presume?
well, I mean, it's coming from Italy, so I'm sure it's probably
Kind of fresh.
Probably fresher than what you would get from the grocery store. But I would imagine it's fairly pricey. I have not researched it
Yeah.
yet.
No
But
one
he
has.
said it was awesome, and there's not nearly as much. What's the thing people? I'm just
Gluten?
Gluten. That's what I was looking for. We were talking about earlier. We were talking about glycogen. I can only think of glycogen right now. It's like it's not that one. It's the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
So the
funny.
gluten
and
contents.
glycogen are totally different things.
Yeah, I know that. That's why.
For the sake of those who are listening, gluten is a protein found in wheat.
Yep.
Other areas sometimes, but wheat primarily. And glycogen is a form of stored glucose in the body, and glucose means sugar. There you go.
There you go. Science.
Quick little lesson.
Yeah, but I think that'd be sweet.
Yeah,
If-
I think
and
so too.
he's-
Now, I didn't make any bagels or anything like that at the bakery, but I did when I worked at Dunkin' Donuts.
So wait,
Long time
This
ago.
is many in a
I was
galaxy
like
far, far away.
15,
So
14.
and y'all made bagels there too?
Yeah.
And you made them there. You didn't get
Yeah,
them like delivered.
bagels and donuts.
Okay. So was
No,
there like a pre-made
I don't know
batter?
if I didn't do much of it. I don't remember if it was, I don't know if it was pre-made or not, but I know that you had like the extruder thing that you had to drop rounds into the baking soda water so that it gets like shiny on the outside. That's how the bagel gets the exterior texture.
Right.
I remember that.
Was it
but
like
I was
a-
like 14 or
Was
15.
it like a premix for that stuff?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I didn't do it.
Did you ever make the donuts?
Not same thing.
Okay.
I was too young. I was working the cash register.
But you did make the waffle cones.
I did make the waffle cones because
Okay.
it was Baskin Robbins Dunkin' Donuts.
Right.
So I made the waffle cones and twirled it in the thing until it hardened, and then you just
Yeah.
like, dip chocolate in the middle of the bottom of it so that the ice cream doesn't leak out.
Right. That is clutch to have the
It
little
is.
chocolate situation
The
at
little
the bottom.
chocolate plug at the bottom there,
Yes.
so it can't leak through the bottom.
Yeah, and my mother for Valentine's Day got us all Oh Wow Cow
Yeah,
ice
she got
cream,
little pints of ice cream for each of us.
which is it's very
and cones.
and cones, and the cones are like hand dipped. They're so good.
They're gigantic. It's just
And-
like sugar overload.
I always do this to my mom, where I'm like, "Yeah, Serena and I are like, we're not gonna do." Because we've talked about it before on the show, but we're significantly cutting back on quite a number of things, but sugar being one of them. I was just like, yeah, I just feel like crap with sugar, and even Oh Wow Cow, and she's just like, she'd already gotten the ice cream. I'm like,
well,
I'm
that
so
makes sense that her reaction was
I'm
sad.
so sorry, Mom. Like I didn't know you bought that stuff.
Yeah.
But
It's Valentine's Day. We should have known. She's said that for like the last 3 years.
It's very sweet.
It is very sweet.
Yeah, I didn't know this wasn't a thing, but my mom used to always get us presents
funny.
for Valentine's Day. I didn't know that wasn't a thing. Like, my brother and I always get like a really nice Express shirt.
You did.
And,
not anymore.
not anymore.
Now it's ice
No,
cream.
because you two turds came along, and then now.
Yeah, I remember the first time we had Valentine's Day, I made you a little origami t-shirt. Yeah. That was my t-shirt gift to you. Totally not the same thing.
No, definitely not. But yeah, so we don't, because you guys sucked up the rest of the budget.
Yeah, you know, what can we say?
like-
Buy your own shirts.
Yeah, that was my brother and I's beef with birthday parties growing up. We did a lot of birthday parties, like where, you invite all your friends, and particularly in the lower grades, like first grade, kindergarten and stuff, you'd usually invite your whole class. That was just who you're.
Oh, right.
That's like automatically your peer group, so everyone got invited.
That's funny.
And
That's true.
we did them at Lakeside, and I had a really cool one that was a pirate. I had a pirate party at my house in Ardsley. So, and my parents set up like a pirate different set of games. Like we had Walk the Plank, and they blew up one of those safety rafts
Wow.
and filled it with water. And then my dad put like a 2x4 across it, and you had to like
my
walk the plank
gosh.
past it. And then
How fun is that?
since it was filled with water, like if you fell off, like, you just got your feet wet, basically. But my brother smoked everyone because
Really?
my friends were all 2.5 years younger
Oh
than him.
gosh, that's true. I didn't
like,
even think about
like
that.
a first grader to like a fourth grader is a big deal.
That's a very big deal.
So-
That's a very big difference.
But then he sucked on the balance thing. So I trashed everyone in that because I have like super wide feet. I always had good
Well, and
balance.
better balance. Josh
Yeah.
does not have very good balance for what I know of him.
Yeah, it's a thing.
It's a thing.
So
Stand
that-
on one
But
foot.
that was funny, but he was just trashing like all of my friends. And then it was
funny.
that one. And then this lady, one of my mom's friend, made me this gangster pirate cake
Wow.
with like the fancy icing that was like some of it was clear blue. They made like a
Ooh.
pond out of like the clear blue icing.
That's cool.
It was pretty neat.
It's pretty spiffy.
Anyway, after that, my parents said, guys, we can. The formula we figured out is that we could have a party, invite all our friends, or get more gifts. And as soon as my brother and I figured that out, basically, like we could get more money, we were like, I don't need friends. Like it's just,
Oh my gosh.
y'all are enough. So then it just became, you basically, through trial and error, my brother and I figured out how much money my parents
I
were
see.
spending on per
That's really funny. You guys
per
are
birthday,
sneaky.
and then we would just ask for like the upper limit of that stuff because particularly we were younger, like we didn't have any money, and video
Yeah.
games were expensive, so you would
very
like
true.
oh man, and there were some birthdays where we got some bad video games, and it was in the
and
days
that's a
where
huge bummer.
you couldn't take them back.
Yeah.
Oh, it was bad.
Yep.
Twisted Metal 3, I think I almost cried.
Because it was so bad and you were so
was-
disappointed.
Well, I was so pumped.
Oh.
And Josh used a big portion of his birthday money to get Twisted Metal 3. And we got it. And we got it from Walmart. And then we opened it and it was so terrible that like we both looked at each other like, what? They can't do this. And yeah, because Twisted Metal 2 was like one of the best games ever.
Oh, yeah. So then you have a big
Yeah.
expectation.
And my brother was a
Like that.
stud on that game. So, yeah. But that was dark times.
Yeah.
Whew. So we have a little bit of news for our listeners, I suppose.
We do?
Yeah.
Oh, we do.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Which if they've, they will have
now.
they will have listened to. It's getting late. It's all right. Just totally spacing out.
I was just I'm like thinking Gus is making a lot of noise. Should I like cover his crate?
It's fine.
Okay.
It's not that much noise.
Okay.
So not a lot of it's coming through on the audio.
So
It's
let's
cool.
go back to our announcement.
Well, if I'm sure they've listened to the intro,
That's
which we
true.
have
It's gonna
mentioned
be in
it.
our
But
intro.
so we have a sponsor for the show, and it's
Yeah.
Audible. And I thought I would, I have certain, I guess not qualms is the wrong word, but specifications, or I'm very. I think the podcast this is, for lack of a better term, kind of like an art form.
Yeah.
And I really care a lot about the quality of the show and all of these things. And that's more what I'm concerned with, where I've taken a lot of courses and things where they're
Yeah.
saying how to monetize and basically like try and wring all the money out of your user base that you can, which
is like, I don't like that tactic.
I can't, I literally can't do it. It makes me sick. So,
yeah.
That being said, for those, everybody listening, we appreciate it. But I wouldn't get behind a sponsor that I didn't really believe in or care about. So Audible is by far like
awesome.
One of my favorite things that I use as far as services. And I've been an Audible member for, it's got to be like 6 years, maybe something like that.
Yeah. And Audible is,
I just checked my library. So Audible is a audiobook provider, and they are owned by Amazon, but they have the largest library of audiobooks.
Oh, they do? I didn't realize. I mean, it makes sense.
And other audio programs.
That's
it's
awesome.
in the, I think it's in the hundreds of thousands. I think it's like 180,000 books or something like that. I'll look at my little cheat sheet later.
So 2006?
It's been a while. So, and it's something that I was listening to audiobooks prior to Audible because it was but as soon as it came out, they had a subscription where you get, 1 credit a month and then, access to all of their books. But, so I've accrued over 431 books are in my library.
And you've listened to all of them.
And it's saved my butt in terms of painting. So when I do contracting work and stuff, it's really nice just to have, a headphone in and have a book going, and you kind of turn some dead space into some nice, learning time.
That's great.
Or just being completely entertained. So we're going to mention a whole bunch of books, but you've listened to the Harry Potter series, which are amazing. Like, you literally don't want anybody to talk to you while they're going.
I do a lot of driving. I don't do painting or anything like you do. A lot of dead space, like not listening or talking to anybody. I talk a lot for a living and listen a lot, but I drive, and when I drive, I love listening to audiobooks. I'm not a big music listener in the car, nothing like that. Hardly. I have to be in the right mood to listen to music in the car, but I'll listen to audiobooks till the cows come home. Yeah.
Well, and you have, because you are married to me, you have access to my account, and there you go.
Yeah, it's great.
But so you talk a lot about actual nutrition. So what you're eating and all of that.
Dietary nutrition, food based.
Yeah. So liquids and solids that you're stuffing in your face. So I've thought a lot about your mental diet.
Yeah.
Not you personally, but everybody's. And I think there's tiers of quality as far as the different types of media you can put into your face. And for me, in the audio world, you've got, music, which I won't cover, but that's if you're listening to new music, that can be very engaging, or some of to me, it's a nice way to set the mood or the tone of things for a party or whatever it is.
You can make a lot of adjustments to the atmosphere with music.
Right. And then, you've got podcasts, which are kind of, to me, the next rung up, as far as they're being generated a lot. Usually the production value on a good show is really high. Yeah. Generally the ones that I listen to are conversation based. They're covering, a smattering of material, but most of it's off the cuff. So it's not really scripted unless you're listening to something like Dan Carlin's Hardcore History or Malcolm Gladwell's Revisionist History, where it's more highly edited and produced. And some people are doing some old-timey radio shows, like War of Worlds type things, which is pretty cool.
That's crazy.
So there's lots of cool things kind of going on in the space. And then for my own experience, the audiobook is I feel like it's the top tier of particularly audio media, because a book is generally someone's most distilled thoughts. And they've thought about it the most. It's gone through the most channels as far as being edited and really thought through and laid out. So
it's very refined.
Yeah, it's
distilled.
Very distilled,
polished.
very refined. Yeah, all of those things. And then on Audible, man, they have wonderful narrators.
They do. They have some really awesome narrators.
And a narrator can change the entire experience of the book.
For sure.
And I know some people are like, I don't know if anyone thinks this, because audiobooks have really caught on, and it's one of the audio space is one of the largest growing podcasts and audiobooks. Yeah. So because like you said, you can do other stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I clean the house. I listen to audiobooks. I do all kinds of stuff. Yeah. It's great.
And then this is my own.
I don't watch TV, hardly, not like that. And audiobooks all the way.
So, and for me, I really like the AirPods. So my jam for a while when I worked was have like over the ear earbuds, and I'd have one hooked on my shirt and the other one hooked in usually like my right ear, but I'd like alternate. So I just have one earbud in and the other's free. That way you actually have more spatial awareness, which is
You
very
can hear people coming.
Particularly on a
coming
job
on.
site, you want to be a little bit aware who's in the house and where you are and that kind of stuff, where you don't want to completely zone out.
You don't want your like one of those noise canceling headphones that all you can hear is the ocean waves in your
right
music playing.
And then because my brother startles easily, so many homeowners have scared him coming up. He's like, oh.
Aw, poor Josh.
But yeah, this is a complete side note, but if you have AirPods, you can alter how they're set up. So you can change it where
Like change the settings on them?
the default settings are you have to have both of them in, and as soon as you take one out, it senses it and it pauses whatever you were listening to. And then it also, usually the tap would activate Siri.
I remember that, yep.
So I changed it to where you don't need both in to listen because I just like having one in.
Yeah.
And then you double tap to pause or
Okay.
play, which I also really like.
Yeah, that's really useful.
And then if I'm wearing my Apple Watch, you can control everything off the Apple Watch and the volume and everything.
That's cool.
So,
Very cool. So that has been a really great tool to help you enjoy your audiobooks even more.
yes. So my standard loadout is one earbud in. I've got the charging case clipped to my belt with that cool case that I got you one of those too. And then I have usually a playlist going in the room on the work radio, and then either podcast or audiobook going in my ear. So it's a very nice balance of media.
Yeah.
And some people have been like, again, I'm not sure if this is like the general perception, but I heard this for a while. Like if you said, I read that book, but you actually listened to it, people are like, you didn't read it, you just listened to it.
Yeah.
It's like, so, as Diane says, that may be.
Yeah.
But like humans haven't been reading for very long.
Comparatively speaking.
Comparatively. So we've been telling each other stories for a super long time. And for a while, like almost no one could read. And the fact that almost everybody you run into can read now is very odd for like human history.
Yeah.
So we're very
that's
fortunate
interesting to think about it like that.
to be in a space where everyone can read. But your audio processing center, like you can listen to a story and still pick up a lot.
Yeah.
And then
Absolutely.
I would also say if anyone is starting out listening to audiobooks and things like that, I know I already had really good audio processing. I could just remember whatever I heard.
That's true. You have
which
very
is
good auditory
Super
learning
sweet.
skills.
But even listening to audiobooks all the time, I've gotten even better at remembering things and tracking with, I feel like that muscle, whatever that is,
You're
of
kind
like
of training it.
listening is like I got better and better with it.
Yeah, like
So-
I know some people who are blind or significantly visually impaired and their hearing speed increases, right? Because they rely so much on hearing. It's kind of the same mechanism where you like they have their phone read to them and it's on like as fast. It's like quadruple speed and it sounds like and they're like know exactly what it says and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't even process that fast.
Well, you've done that a couple times.
I do. I do listen
on
to
Audible.
audiobooks on like 1.5 to 2 times speed
I
all the
can't-
time.
I can't do that because it distorts the narration too much.
Sometimes I don't mind. I can listen through that.
Well, I was listening to another, I think it was a podcast with Jordan Peterson, and he said it might have even been in his book, where he was saying that he will watch a Simpsons episode at like 1.5 speed. And I was like, that's so bizarre. But he's like, yeah, you get all the humor in like way less time. So I
Yeah,
was like,
that's how I feel about it. That's why
all
I'll
right.
play my books on 1.5, sometimes 2x, if the narrators are real slow.
sometimes, yeah.
But it's great. It's another, you just get through material faster.
So that's our, I guess my recommendation as far as like
Yeah, check out Audible.
Audible's awesome. Huge fan, and we'll be, I think, henceforth, we've already probably given recommendations almost every episode already.
Yeah.
So my formal recommendation this episode
Yes,
is
please tell. Do tell.
the 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson,
Yeah, it's
An
a good
Antidote
one.
to Chaos. And have you finished it yet?
No,
Okay.
not quite.
What are you, like halfway through?
A little more than halfway.
Okay. And I'm a huge fan. If you guys don't know who he is, I've talked ad nauseum about him already.
I've linked him in all the show notes,
Okay.
basically every episode, almost.
And his 12 Rules for Life is, I think, number 1 on Audible right now. It's been alternating between the number 1 and number 2 spot
Awesome.
for like a week, which is great. So if you're going to spend that, that credit, I should also mention, which we will have mentioned before, but you can go to www.audibletrial.com /The Painter and the Pixie to get 1 month free. and a free audiobook.
That's pretty cool.
So, and there's also a whole gang of other stuff on there that is included in the membership.
No, I had no idea.
They have some more Audible courses that are audio courses, and a few of them are free. And there's a lot of free content. I actually know some podcasts and stuff that are on there, and a lot of great stuff. Something folks may not know either, but I'm a veteran Audible user, is that you can actually, if you subscribe and you get a bunch of credits up front, which is what I always do. My plan, I get 24 credits once a year.
Yep. And they're gone by in like 2 months.
All at once. And then I usually keep upping. I get 3 credits at a time, like constantly. But this used to not be a thing. You can spend your credit on the book, and then if you don't like the book, you can actually return it and get your credit back, which is awesome. So
that's pretty cool.
Now I will say, like, you don't want to abuse that.
Yeah.
But if you do return too many in too close of a time window,
oh, they won't like that.
They will require you to contact them, which, like, through their chat window or like an email to say, like, why you're returning it, as just like a little bit of like, hey,
fail safe. Don't just play the system and use the same credit over and over and over again.
Right.
The idea is supposed to be, if this is a really crummy book, you can return it, just like your whatever video game. You can return it and then exchange it for something you would like.
Well, it used to be a point of anxiety for me to be like, oh, I don't want to waste a credit, because to me, if I missed, it was so sad.
Yeah.
And I'm just very thankful they have that feature now.
Yeah,
so
it's
if you go
great.
into your library, you can return. I think, and it gives you like of your last 10 books, you can return. One of them.
That's pretty cool.
Works super good. Yeah, it made a huge difference.
It's very nice, because you've had a couple of books that were not very good, that were not your style, not your taste. You weren't into them at the time.
Yeah.
Swap it for something new.
Yep. And that way we get some, get to the good stuff.
Yeah.
My other recommendation, if you are not a Jordan Peterson fan or just want something else,
Something maybe a little bit less dense.
a fun book is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And it's so good. I've listened to it a number of times,
too.
and it's probably one of my favorite in that genre, where it's more of like sci-fi, futuristic. And that movie's coming out, I believe, in March.
Is it March already?
It's coming out in
Wow.
March.
Right, but I mean, I didn't realize it was that soon that it was coming out.
Yep, I believe so. And
You
it's
would know.
Steven Spielberg. I just saw a preview for it
That's
today.
true.
But Steven Spielberg produced it. I don't believe he directed it.
Okay.
But that should be. It looks really good. Hopefully it's as good
Hopefully
as
it's good.
the book. But so those are my recommendations, and I'm sure we will mention again in the outro.
Yeah, there's another book. I'm going to throw in a book here.
All right.
The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern.
Ooh, it's good.
I loved that book. That was great. When we haven't really, I don't think we talked about this. Maybe we did. Remind me. On our podcast about how we met and started talking before we were dating.
I don't think we covered it during the course of this show.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think we talked about it in your previous podcast.
Correct.
But anyway, I'm going to keep it short. We're not going to go into the whole story right now. Sorry, guys. We'll come back around to it another time.
Probably.
But one of the first things, our interactions, was I was asking Jeremy if he had book recommendations, essentially. And he gave me this list of, like, just rattled off, like, 20 books. And I'm, like, scribbling, writing them all down. And I was like, okay, so if I were to pick one of these to go buy at Barnes & Noble, which one would you suggest? And we weren't dating at the time. We were just kind of knew each other.
Yep.
And I knew you read a lot, so that's why I was asking for book recommendations. And you said The Night Circus. I think you'll really like that. And I really did. I read it all in one night.
Yeah, it's super good.
And I actually read that. I didn't listen to it. I didn't have Audible at the time.
Right.
But it's a fun, it's total fantasy world about kind of magicians at this circus, this night circus that travels around at nighttime instead of daytime. And it's a fascinating book.
It's very fantastical.
Yeah.
And I believe that is one of our post Harry Potter depression recommendations.
It's one of our post Harry Potter recommendations.
Yeah, which people know that we've talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
A few people that listen to the show know what's up. But yeah, it's super sad when Harry Potter ends. And if you listen to the books, then it's narrated by Jim Dale,
Yes.
right? He also narrates the Night Circus.
So it's a nice little
It's a
transition.
nice little, like, familiar person and still magical and wondrous, and it's
It's a good stepping stone.
Yeah, and then we should talk about that. Maybe not this episode, but we should probably do a recap on our post Harry Potter depression
Yeah,
recommendations.
I think that would be a fun show to do.
So we've got a solid list.
Write that down on the list.
It's a real thing, folks.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
Even I've read Harry Potter start to finish, like actual books, or listened to it a collective total of like maybe 7 times.
Yeah,
You still feel sad every time.
yeah.
You're like, oh, come on, I can't believe this. Probably not 7, maybe 5 times.
I think I've read them I've read them once or twice, and then I've listened to the audio at least 4 times.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they're really great when you have long car trips.
whew, they're good anytime, man.
Yeah, this is true. So that's very true. But it's like you're still sad every time. You're like, I know we're coming to an end. I know all of the angles. I know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I just
And then it ends, and you're still like, but I want more. Where's the rest of this world?
those books that you can just get sucked into that world,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just not. And man, the Harry Potter series narrated by Jim Dale is, I would say, probably my favorite narrator.
Yeah, you do like him a lot.
It's between him and Stephen Pacey, who narrated the Joe Abercrombie books.
I think you probably like Stephen Pacey a little bit more.
Yeah, probably.
I think you do.
Because
But you just enjoy Jim Dale's version
his
of
stuff is incredibly like
Harry Potter.
lewd and gory, and I love it. And Stephen Pacey's hilarious. His voices are so good.
His voices are really good.
And then Jim Dale's, I actually watched a behind the scene thing on Jim Dale and how he kept track of all the voices that he did for the Harry Potter
that's
series.
hard.
And he would he had everything labeled, so the characters, and then he would actually sometimes he would record like clips, and he had them labeled, so like, you know, Dobby is this clip, so he would like go back and re-listen to them.
Oh, so he could keep track of things.
He could like pull out because I mean, there's a ton of characters in
Yeah.
that, so, and they're all distinct vocals from
that's
one dude,
crazy.
which is pretty awesome.
You have to have such an imagination, very vivid, to be able to pull that off.
And I believe he was like a stage actor, so
makes more sense.
he's got quite the vocal range and all of that.
Yeah.
But
Pretty
yeah,
cool.
man.
So those are some great recommendations. Go check it out, people.
Yeah, we hit quite a few in there, but it was good.
Yeah.
But so, what do you listen to right now?
12 Rules for Life.
Still 12 Rules.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I did finish Never Split the Difference.
Yeah, how was that? It
was
What did
good.
you think?
It was good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was
pretty good. Pretty clever.
FBI negotiator. He was like a negotiator.
Head hostage negotiator.
Yeah, hostage negotiator.
For like 20 years.
And then he kind of does a lot of business consulting, and it turned out his hostage negotiation skills translated well to
Right into the business world.
business and all that jazz. So, all right, sweetie. Well, do you want to keep going here? Do we have time to get to our other little thing about brown bagging it? You want to chat a little bit about it?
Yeah, let's do a little bit.
We got
yeah,
like
we got a little more time. We can talk about some of that. We have plenty of time.
We have all the time in the world.
Yeah.
It's our show. We can do what we want.
We can. We keep going.
So-
So, yeah, I think we had a nice little talk about some books and a recap. But let's go. We wanted to chat a little bit about lunch ideas.
Yes. So, and this is something where I think people like. I've gotten hung up on this before. It's kind of a pain in the butt. I brown bag my lunch every day,
Yep.
and it can get boring and repetitive. And I know a lot of people. A lot of my contracting friends go out a lot at lunch, and
Sorry about that. Slurping my beverage here.
but it also happens in the office world. And
Yep.
most of the time, if you're going out to eat somewhere, the chances of you getting something that are going to be nutritionally wonderful for you are
Nutrient dense foods and fast food restaurants and places don't really coincide.
Yeah, and at least for me and for my brother, we don't really care that much about lunch. I just want some good fuel
You just need sustenance.
to keep me going through the rest of my afternoon. So I guess I'll just recap with where I've landed on
Sure,
my lunch,
yeah.
and then you can add what you want.
Yeah, no problem. I like the idea of giving some options for people because you don't have to eat the same thing every day. I know
Right.
sometimes it gets easy for people, like your brother, can eat the same lunch for 10 years.
He ate thousands of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches,
right?
until recently.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's great. And like, it's nice to have go-tos that are routine, but I also very much believe that you need to have variety in your diet. If you eat the same thing every day, all the time, breakfast is the same, lunch is the same, dinner's the same, not that useful. You're not getting a wide variety of nutrients.
Or maybe you're just getting super good at digesting those foods.
Well, maybe you are,
Huh?
but that still doesn't mean you're getting good nutrients from those
Fair
foods.
point. You and your science.
Yeah, I know. So, why don't you talk about some of your favorite easy go-to meals,
Sure.
lunches that work well for you, and we'll talk about some options.
So usually, get up in the morning, coffee, heavy cream, and then
Delightful.
the last couple weeks I've been taking our extra coffee and putting that in the thermos, packing a little bit of heavy cream with an ice pack in my kind of cooler bag that I take with me for lunch. So a lot of times we do like how we have leftovers.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I would do like a little box of that, but then sometimes we don't always have leftovers.
Or leftovers that you want to bring with you. Like
Correct.
sometimes it's too much, too fussy, or not awesome cold.
Yeah, some things that aren't the best cold. But I always do a smoothie in the morning, which is clutch. So I've got it in like one of those cooler cup things that keeps it nice and insulated and cold. And then you said they clock in about 1,800 calories.
Yeah, your smoothie, because you do a whole avocado and a whole bunch of coconut, like full fat coconut milk, your whole thing, if you drink the whole entire smoothie, is anywhere between 1,300 to 1,800 calories.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
So usually I drink that. Sometimes I drink it actually for lunch.
Which is great. For you, that's awesome.
Yeah, particularly if I've had breakfast that morning. Sometimes if I feel like I have enough in me, I just go with the coffee and then go for the smoothie a little bit earlier. But a lot of times I'll do eggs with sauerkraut, cheese, and bacon.
Yep.
Because that's awesome.
It is awesome.
And then the other part of my lunch, I've got, what are those, the Epic bars? Or not the
No,
the
Graze bars. Yeah,
Graze
they're
bars.
by Mission Meats. Graze bars. If anybody Googles them, Graze bars, if you just do that, it'll come up with this like granola bar thing. Totally not what we're talking about. Okay. That's what comes up first. So if you type Mission Meats, it's all organic grass-fed beef jerky bars, essentially.
Okay.
So kind of like a really healthy version of a Slim Jim.
Yes.
Without any junk in it. It's just like some spices and grass-fed beef.
Right.
So those are awesome.
So I usually have one of those in my bag all the time. And then I also do, I'll do like a little thing of nuts. So like shelled pistachios are super good. Big fan.
Yep.
And then if I'm running low on food, I'll throw like a block of cheese in there.
Yeah.
And I'll do slices of cheese with the Graze bar and then some nuts. So that's like that's like my backup lunch
that's a
if
great
I don't
little
have any leftovers and things like that.
Well, and your smoothie, I love your smoothie. It has so much in it.
Yeah.
A ton of good nutrients, micronutrients from all the greens and all the vegetables that you've got there. So you can do that, and then you can have your protein, fat, little meal of your, Graze bar and cheese and stuff, and it's fantastic.
Yep.
Really great fuel.
And then I always throw in some other stuff. Like I usually have different beverages, particularly when our drink fridge is stocked with wonderful non-alcoholic alternatives.
Like kombucha.
So I'll do kombucha, I'll do Zevia, or I'll do Pellegrino. And I will particularly do the kombucha if I know I'm like going to do the smoothie for lunch, and I'll drink the kombucha after lunch because Rhonda Patrick said that you want the probiotics that are in the kombucha need the green kind of matter
they eat that fiber
to eat it, and then you get better situation going on in your digestive system. So
yeah, it's great.
So that's my little loadout. And if I'm not eating like a jackass, which means I'm not eating a ton of sugar, high glycemic carbohydrates, or booze, then that is plenty to get me all the way to my pre-workout.
Yeah, sometimes
snack.
you don't. Sometimes you just do the smoothie.
Yeah.
That's great.
But it's on the tail end of
Yeah.
heavy cream and coffee and eggs and bacon and stuff.
Right, exactly. I meant for lunch.
Yeah.
Just like lunch specifically. Sometimes you just do the smoothie, not smoothie bar, cheese, nuts.
Well, I said this to you before too, where I said when like particularly January, where we're eating really really well and a lot of nutrient dense food.
Yep.
I feel like my body got hydrated with nutrients, where I just wasn't as hungry for stuff. And I'm like, oh, it's because everything I eat is actually dense with nutrition, and my body's
your blood
like,
sugar is very well balanced.
Dude,
when your blood sugar is ping-ponging up and down, we talked about this, if any of you guys are listening from the workshops on Friday, you're in the red spikes of adrenal up, down, blood sugar spike, blood sugar crash. If you're there, you're going to crave sugar. Your body's trying to say, please help me stabilize, and it doesn't understand that sugar is not going to fix the problem.
Yeah.
That having nutrient-dense foods and some fantastic fats to balance that blood sugar out is the way to go.
Yeah. And we've been a little bit lax in our, we've been enjoying our February. Let's put it that way.
It's not been crazy, but we have definitely not been nearly as, our diets have not been as spick and span as they were in January.
No, but I think we talked a little bit about it last week where we landed, in case people are wondering that listened last week. We're going to, because for Valentine's Day, we had a challenge as far as $20 Valentine's.
Yes.
Where I thought I did all right.
Yeah, I think you did great.
Because it was bad as like last week on the show, we said we're not going to booze in 2018. And then after I was like, my aunt gave us a really nice bottle of red wine
for Valentine's Day.
And then I also got you, before we did that podcast, I got you some really great Founders Breakfast Stout.
So fantastic. So delicious.
And then we both kind of agreed, like, hey, I don't really want to throw out all this beer that's in the house. Let's just like,
And wine, like,
yeah,
stuff's
all the
super
good
nice.
stuff that we have, and let's just like drink it and then not buy any more of it.
Yeah, let it
So,
finish it off,
Yeah,
then let it go.
yeah, I feel like we're paying it good homage, so
Yeah.
that's good.
And realize we're done with it then for a
Yeah.
little while. But it's good, and it was nice for Valentine's Day. It was really nice to come back, and I had an adventure yesterday with my friend. We kind of went out and did some stuff for her birthday, and got back late. And it snowed last night
Pretty aggressively.
pretty aggressively, and it came on pretty quickly. Honestly, it was
Yeah.
snowing for a little while, but it was just like looked fine. The roads were perfectly fine, a little bit wet, but nothing was slick. Nothing was like freezing or whatever. And then all of a sudden, boom! I'm fishtailing all over the place. I almost spun the car all the way around twice. It was terrifying. I'm going like 20 miles an hour. Okay, okay, all the way around. Almost like, I mean, facing the wrong lane with cars coming in behind me. So I came home and Jeremy had poured a wonderful glass of red wine for me. And I was like, thank you. I'll sit down and drink this and decompress from this crazy traffic.
And then I got you a card from Katana,
Yes, Katana Comics.
so which is a great Instagram account
Yeah,
for those.
I love their comics.
Which I know you did. And then I did my own comic inside,
Yeah.
which
So it's like a print that's
Yeah.
on a card.
right
Which
from
is great.
from their comic strip. But no one gets to see those cartoons that I draw you because
No, I know.
they're inappropriate most of the
mine.
time. Yeah, there he goes.
You can show the card on the front.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was really fun. Hold on, where were we going with all of this?
Well, eventually we should probably come back around to your
Well,
recommendations.
we were talking
for
about
food.
lunches.
Yeah, well, we were going to talk about lunches, but I don't know how we got to Valentine's Day. Oh, well, I was just recapping that we're.
Oh, yeah, feeling better when you have nutrient-dense food.
Yes.
Not eating junk.
Yes. There you go. It's getting late, guys. So yeah, do you have anything else to add for lunches?
Yeah, so lunches, I love when we have leftovers of dinner for lunch, but sometimes, like you said, there's things that are not that good cold, so it's hard to bring it with you, or it's you want to be able to save it for leftovers for dinner when you can heat it up, like if you have the choice. So that's where you can kind of do your grab and go stuff that you talked about. Some really, really simple lunches that are great for a lot of people, particularly office workers who have kind of better refrigeration. I mean, you can do it in a cooler bag too, but when you have a refrigerator, making salads. I love doing salads for lunch when you have time to sit down and eat them, right? That was one really big thing we talked about on Friday when we were talking about how digestion works, is digestion begins in the brain, not in the mouth, not in the stomach. It begins in the brain. You have to be in a calm state called parasympathetic mode for your autonomic nervous system to be able to digest food. So sitting down, eat your salad, all that's what I got back to.
Yeah.
But you have a lot of different options you can make. I am a really big fan of making bulk things that last you through the week, at least half the week. So I will do things like egg salad or chicken salad or taco salad, which is with ground beef,
Right.
or shredded beef or whatever we've got. Or tuna salad, something like tuna or
Yeah.
salmon, or even anchovies, sardines. Yeah, those are really great too on top of salad. Fantastic. A little lemon juice, a little bit of, walnuts, and
Right.
it's really nice. Very, very simple, very easy to put together. You can make a big batch of your chicken salad or egg salad or whatever, and then let it go through the week. So that's where I haven't done that in a while because you've been doing your smoothies pretty consistently.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times we would do, like, you would make the egg salad and then I would do a bed of greens.
Yeah.
And put that on top.
Right.
But
Instead of putting it on a sandwich.
now, I mean, so I'm more pro smoothie than I am pro salad, just because they take forever to eat.
Right.
But
So that's why your smoothie's a great option too.
that's
Some of us really though, smoothies. I have a love-hate relationship with smoothies. They're fantastic. They're great, but I really like to chew my food.
yeah. Well,
I
you
really
also
love
don't
chewing
you
it.
also don't like something that is the consistency of a Slurpee in the wintertime.
You're right. I don't like cold beverages in the wintertime. So
Yeah.
in the summer, I love smoothies, and they're great. A lot of people like them, but I also really like to chew my food. So I never do that whole. You do a huge amount of that smoothie. That's why it's like
Yeah.
close to 2,000 calories.
Yeah, it's like a big gulp of
It's
smoothie.
gigantic.
That's
I
great.
will do like a quarter of that smoothie.
I like it because it feels like the Matrix when they were eating that gloop and they're like, everything the body needs. I'm like, perfect. It's just
Yeah.
like, get it in. It literally feels like I'm just filling up my gas tank with like great
you
fuel.
are.
It's like rocket fuel.
It's awesome.
So, but
Yeah, so I love the salad type things or leftovers from dinners before.
and I think too a good thing is to talk about is my mom gets us these fancy olive oils sometimes for like
yeah.
Christmas and whatever. And she got us a pesto one.
Oh my gosh,
And
it is
what's
so
the other one?
good. The balsamic vinegar one?
Yeah, we use that on salads. It's so good.
Yeah, so she got us an olive oil that is, I guess, steeped with pesto, whatever. I don't know how they do that, but it is
It's delicious.
phenomenal.
However they figured that out,
However
it's
they did
wonderful.
it's fantastic. That alone, like you just put a drizzle of that on top of your salad, or a large amount of it on top of your salad, whatever you're feeling. And he's good.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. But then she also got us this year, she got us a, what was it? Honey peppercorn balsamic vinegar, something like that.
Yeah, that one's good too.
Amazing.
Ooh.
It is so good. A little zing, a little tiny bit of sweet, and then the wonderful balsamic vinegar, vinegary taste. It's great. Oh my gosh. And I did not think that the two of those together would taste
Delicious.
good, but they're like amazing. Pesto and then the honey cracked pepper balsamic. Oh my gosh.
That's pretty awesome.
Fantastic. Any salad. That's all I use.
You're good at putting little crunchy things in the salad.
I do. I call them decorations.
Like little, you've done like the cranberries and then like different nuts and stuff.
Yeah. Or
And,
like pepitas, little pumpkin seeds.
Yes.
Walnuts. I like to shave, take up a potato peeler and shave little pieces of carrot for color.
Right.
That kind of stuff's really fun.
I like doing none of that, but I will eat it if
know.
it's provided.
You used to not, and I was like, come on, eat your decorations, please. Now you started
It's
eating
annoying
more.
to get them all with the fork.
Yeah.
They
That's why
don't-
you just blend it all.
They
up
don't.
and drink it in
Yeah,
this
that's
smoothie.
exactly why. Like, stop trying to evade me. I want to eat you, and then it just.
So the trick for you is larger chunks of decorations.
There you go.
Easily stab them with your fork.
There you go.
So instead of cutting a tomato and dicing it into lots of little pieces, just like 4 chunks, just like 4 pieces, you just
Yeah.
eat the whole thing.
Yeah, act like you want to be eaten. That's,
Yeah. So I see.
But
So those are some tips that I really like for lunches. All those lunches, you don't have any sugar. You don't have any refined carbohydrates, so no bread, none of that stuff, but it's still very filling.
yeah,
It
it's
does
all
a really
healthy
great,
fats.
a lot
Yeah.
of healthy fats, a lot of good protein, and really good quality carbohydrates. So one of the things, I'm going to totally take a tangent here for a second if you're okay.
Do it up, tangent
Come
it up,
along
girl.
for the ride.
Yeah.
So this is something that we talked about during the lesson that on Friday. I talk about building your metabolic fire, right? One of the goals of balancing your blood sugar is making sure you have a really well-stoked fire. So for those of you guys listening, we have, like I mentioned way earlier, we have our macronutrients: protein, carbohydrates, and fats. And if anybody listening has ever built a fire, I'm going to ask you, Jeremy, what is the first thing you do when you build a fire?
Gasoline.
No, not gasoline. Some people, yes, that's true. Well, okay, what's next
well,
after the gasoline?
Traditionally, you're saying how do I build a fire?
How would you build a fire if I gave you just things you find in nature, so no gasoline?
Well, usually you have to have your big logs, your firewood,
Mm-hmm.
and then but you always start with kindling, so something that's going to burn quickly that will
Yes.
ignite, and then after you do that, you got to start putting the actual logs on. They're going to
Yeah.
carry the flame longer.
Yeah, so you kind of have like your little twigs, your little itty bitty quick to burn kindling or gasoline.
Dead leaves.
Dead leaves, things that are going to catch, and then you have your littler twigs, and then a little bit bigger twigs, and maybe sticks, and then you eventually get your logs on the fire, right, to keep the fire going, long burning, sustained energy.
Yep.
So it's very similar when we're trying to balance our blood sugar. It's the same mechanism, so to speak, if you want to go with this visually. You have 3 categories: kindling, sticks, and logs, and our 3 macronutrients correlate to that. So your carbohydrates are actually kindling, very quick burning. Now, carbohydrate, do you know what a carbohydrate is? Can you give me some ideas of what you think carbs are?
Like what are they contained in?
Yeah, what is a carbohydrate? What type of food is a carbohydrate?
Vegetables, breads,
Mm-hmm.
like any of that stuff.
Yeah, good job. I know, I just put you on the spot.
Well, I just know there are vegetables, breads. There's carbohydrates and fruits,
Yeah.
and a lot of people. I always just know because people don't realize that they're in there. But
Yep.
and then highly processed carbohydrates, like anything that's in processed food, Doritos.
Yep.
Any of that shit.
Yep.
So
Very good. I like that response. So, carbohydrate, chemically speaking, is any fruit, any vegetable, any grain or grain-based product, which is where you get your Doritos and your chips and your crackers and your cakes and your cookies and your pretzels and your sweets and all those things.
right.
And any sweets. So fruit, vegetable, grain-based product, and any kind of sweets, sugar, honey, maple syrups, any of those things, high fructose corn syrup, all of those are biochemically carbohydrates. So carbohydrates burn very quickly, just like your kindling.
Yeah, and you've got low glycemic and high glycemic.
You've got low glycemic and high glycemic. Yes. So I like to refer to them as starchy and non-starchy carbohydrates.
Because they're not all created equal.
They're not all created equal. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, you totally know where I'm going with this. So your starchy carbohydrates or your high glycemic carbohydrates are like your gasoline. Boom, real quick, speedy, catch on fire, big burst of energy, go out real quickly. Very, very quickly. Then you have your more complex carbohydrates, things like broccoli and kale and cabbage and carrots, uncooked carrots. That's a bad example.
Yeah.
When they're cooked, they become a bit more starchy. Those types of things, those other vegetables that have a lot of fiber in them take a little bit longer to break down. So that's like your regular kindling. Get the fire started. And then you have the next step up, right? Which are sticks. Take a little bit longer to break down, but they're not really that much longer burning than your kindling. And that is...
Protein?
Protein, yes.
Yay.
Good, you've been listening. I love it.
Jeremy for the win. All right.
You've absorbed auditorily.
Hey,
You've heard it.
I listen to shit.
Yeah. So your proteins take a little bit more time to break down in the body, but offer very much exactly gram per gram the same amount of units of energy, calories per gram as carbohydrate. So if you ever see a food label, you know, when you're reading at the grocery store, and the bottom of it says carbohydrate 4, protein 4, fat 9.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Some labels have them, some of them don't. What that tells you is per gram, there are 4 units of energy in a carbohydrate, 4 units of energy in a protein, and 9 units of energy in a fat. So our fats are our long-burning logs. That has more than twice the amount of energy as carbohydrates and proteins. So once you get the fire started with your really good healthy carbohydrates, your really awesome good quality proteins, the fats, the logs, can catch fire and keep you sustained for a long period of time. Now, number-wise, you need far fewer logs, right? When compared to like pieces of kindling to get your fire started.
Right.
So they're dense. They're very nutrient dense. That's why we say you have your, like this salad analogy that we gave, this picture of like eating your, we'll say egg salad. You've got your lettuce, which is a great kindling, non-starchy carbohydrate. Then you've got some good proteins from your eggs or your chicken or your whatever, and some good fats, whatever you mix that with, whether it's olive oil or avocado or mayonnaise or coconut oil or whatever you use to mix it with, that carry you through. So you've built a really great metabolic fire. It's an awesome way to do your lunches.
Yeah.
Keep your blood sugar stable, happy all day long.
Bring
good
it
energy.
all back around.
Bring it all back around. Your smoothie is great. It's got a lot of really good non-starchy carbohydrates, really good kindling, not gasoline kindling, regular kindling.
Yeah.
And then you've got some really good fats and some good protein because you put your collagen peptides in there too. It's awesome.
Oh, right. Yeah, but it's nice when you don't, occasionally other contractors we work with, they'll throw like pizza parties and stuff.
Yeah.
And if I've ever indulged at work or like had, people bring donuts and particularly some of my older clients will always try and like offer us sweets. We have one client.
Cake, right?
we have one client who's a very dear woman, and she always makes us these, they're chocolate covered pretzels, and she like dips them and decorates them and stuff. She was a school teacher, so it's very like crafty, like you would do with and she makes it for all her students and stuff too.
That's cute.
But they're so good. And then you're just like, oh,
heavily
man.
processed.
Dude, chocolate covered pretzels is a little bit of a weakness.
Kind of your favorite thing.
Oh, so good. From Asher's. Oh. My mom used to get me, I had to finally tell her to stop, because she would get me the heavily decorated ones.
Oh, right, with like mountains of M&Ms attached.
Yeah, they would be
to
like
them.
a chocolate-covered pretzel dipped in M&Ms. So it's almost like a bag's worth of M&Ms on one pretzel.
For sure.
It was just so much sugar. I just like the dark chocolate and the regular pretzel, because you get the salty of the pretzel.
That's nice. Salt and dark chocolate.
With a
Very nice.
Ooh, so good. But then except the Oreo ones that were dipped in Oreo.
Oh my gosh.
Those were pretty good.
Yeah, you like your Oreos too.
Ooh, yeah.
Pretty nice.
We're gonna have to say bye to some of that soon.
For a little while, we'll come around with some better options. I mean, I love Baker's chocolate, man. I like.
Yeah,
I
well,
think
you're
it's
weird.
Great. It's really bitter, and you eat a little bit at a time, and it's lovely. And I dip it in almond butter. It satisfies me, even though there's no sugar in it.
Yeah, I do like dipping some dark chocolate in peanut butter. That's a delicious little snack. But sometimes not, depending on how much sugar's in the dark chocolate.
Yeah, you need to have a really, really dark, at least 88%. 92% is really nice, or then all the way full Baker's chocolate, which is 100%.
Yeah.
It's great. So all that to say, balance your blood sugar, build a good metabolic fire, make some choices. The cool thing is with that, with these lunches and stuff, there is no one, I know I've said this 100,000 times, there is no one diet fits all. So you can play around with some of those ratios to see what works well for you. Some people need more kindling to get the fire going. Some people need more sticks. Some people need more logs. Some people do great with a lot of logs because they've kept their fire going so long. You just got to feed it once in a while with some logs and you're good.
Yeah.
That's me. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. I like keeping it really simple. And even if it's like, sometimes the smoothie's not the most exciting thing, but it's something I can change up enough where I'm still getting some variety if I need it from like what you've said is like, it's good to switch it up. But then having those other staples like the Graze bars, the nuts, the cheese and different things where you could still get some good variety, but it's not, I don't like thinking about it. I need to get to work, do what I got to do, have my lunch and then get on to the next piece of my day. So I'm not trying to like, I don't really need to enjoy my lunch, particularly like breakfast, eggs and bacon is awesome.
You can enjoy that with your coffee.
Enjoy that
pretty
quite
much
a
any
bit.
day of the week.
So, I was gonna go back a few topics.
Go ahead.
You were talking about how you basically did a 3/4 turn.
Yeah, in my
in
car.
your car.
Oh
So,
my gosh,
but
that was terrible.
you grew up starting driving in the Poconos.
I did.
So like
In the snow, because I'm born in November, got my permit in November, and drove in November in the Poconos.
Yep. So you've had quite a bit of snow driving experience.
Yeah, I felt very confident. I mean, it was a very scary situation, but I was like, I'm going to be fine. I'm not going to spin around. I have complete, well, relatively speaking, complete control of this vehicle. I don't feel like I'm just going to go off the edge of the road. People thankfully were able to slow down. No one crashed into me.
Yeah.
I was more worried about that.
I haven't had, because your car is front wheel drive, which is better in the snow than rear wheel drive. My first car was an 87 735i BMW, which was rear wheel drive and weighed like 4,000 pounds. The thing was a tank. But we had a time when it was in high school at CV West where there had been a couple false snow days, like where they canceled school prematurely.
And there was like not that much snow.
And there was not that much snow or it didn't snow at all. And then the district doesn't like that because you have to make up the days or you didn't get the days. And so then there was a day where it was forecasted to snow. And they're like, no, we're going. And then it just started snowing like crazy. And
I shouldn't laugh.
and what you want to hear is the principal come on about like 10 o'clock to say early release. And then they just bring the buses back and everyone goes home.
My gosh.
And they waited a really long time. And I think they cut us loose like it was after 12 o'clock. And so just keep in mind, the roads are really bad.
Yeah.
Like nothing's gotten plowed yet. It's
Like
this,
they maybe should have just waited, finished school so the roads would get plowed.
it's just like that wet, thick snow that fell last night. And you have a bunch of 16-year-old kids driving home, which like parents do not like that either.
Yeah, that's scary.
And I took two of my friends home and like, so I was a junior and I had my car, so I didn't get a parking spot, which is a big deal. Like usually seniors only get parking spots. So you had to like apply. There was a whole thing. So I had to park like off campus, which did not get plowed. And then it was rear wheel drive and we just like fishtailing all the way home. But my car after that was my Subaru. I had a 2005 Impreza, stick shift. There was a time I had driven home to surprise my mom for her birthday. Aww. And that went great. And I also hated that school with every fiber of my being.
Leaving to surprise her.
Yeah. So it wasn't a hard sell for me to come home. But I was driving back and I would go 80 west, which is just like no man's land in the middle of Pennsylvania, just all the way back to nothing.
Yep.
And there was a really bad storm, but there was black ice everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
And I was actually on the phone with my mom saying like, happy birthday. It was great seeing you. And I was going like 65 miles an hour. And then as I'm driving, I just see people like literally spinning out in front of me and into the, like off to the side of the road. And I was like, and I just like dropped the phone in between my legs. And then this is at, probably about 65 miles an hour at this point.
Oh my gosh, Jeremy.
The whole car just shifted this way.
Yeah.
So I was like
Parallel,
like, I was
perpendicular
to the road. And it's sliding and then my wheels caught and I whipped back straight. But dude, that feeling when the car just goes and you're still maintaining your velocity.
Yeah,
at
60 miles an hour.
And you're like, and then it catches and you're like, oh God. And it was, oh man,
Yeah, I was not thankfully going that fast. Not a good feel. Still not a good
Woo.
feeling at 25 miles an hour.
Yeah.
20 miles an hour. I mean, I crawled home.
Yeah. So at least if you're going much slower.
Yeah. It's way better, much slower.
Yeah.
But you're still like, that's so scary.
Oh man, I still remember that feeling, just your pit of your stomach just dropping out.
Well, at the first, because it's happened to me twice.
Yeah.
And the first time I was like, okay, I've Gus in the back seat. I'm like, he's not sliding. He's
Yeah.
fine. I'm thinking he's going to become a projectile and like fly through the windshield. We're like not crashing. We're fine. But I'm like totally like, okay, what would I do? How would I stop this? Or,
Yeah.
running through scenarios. And I'm like sliding and turning around. And I'm like, okay, got back straight. Slower, had my flashers on after that. This car was right behind me. I was so pissed off. I'm like, what do you expect?
Back it up.
Back off. What do you think? I'm not like trying to hold you up here. I'm trying to like get home safely.
Right,
And they
right.
ended up passing me at one point, totally illegally, into the other lane, which like you can't even see the lines. It's just tons of snow. And I was like, it's a Subaru. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
you just
that's why.
fine, be that way. Like,
Dude.
you can pass me. It's okay.
On snow days, like when it would snow a bunch, and when I worked maintenance back in the day, Ed Hall would come and just pick us up in his massive diesel truck with a huge
Good
plow
plan.
on it, and we
Yep.
would do snow duties.
Yep.
We go around to each campus and shovel and plow and all that stuff. I say plow. I shoveled. I never got to touch the plow controls, but Ed was ruthless passing people because he just had this huge monster
Yeah.
truck, and just he like double lines didn't matter. They'd be crawling like 5 miles an hour. He's blowing past them
Oh my
like
gosh.
45, 50
Well, he's
miles
got
an
a
hour.
plow also.
Yeah, yeah.
Doesn't bother him.
He did not care, but he was a champ at driving in the snow.
I bet.
There was one time where I was a janitor, also in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and so the Friday clean I could push off to the weekend if I didn't feel like going and cleaning on Friday.
had to be before
'cause
Monday.
No one was there on the weekend, so it was fine. But then we got this massive storm over the weekend, and it kept snowing, and I was like, "Oh,
Should have done this on
crap,
Friday.
dude!" And I think I still had my Beamer. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I still had my Beamer, which sucked in the snow. My brother had a '97 Jimmy. It's like a GMC
Yeah,
Jimmy. It's like
yeah,
a
I know
a
what it
Blazer.
is.
Yeah, yeah. He had a 4-door Jimmy, hunk of shit, but it had 4-wheel drive, and it was like those thick flakes that were falling. We went on 309. It had not been plowed. It was like
And that was when 309 was way sketchy.
it was super sketchy. It was like blizzard conditions.
Oh my gosh.
It was so bad that what we did was Josh drove, and then I stuck my head out the window and would tell him where to turn because no one was out.
Oh my gosh.
But we got administrative. We got it cleaned, so that was important.
Wow.
But yeah, it was great. So he came and helped me clean, and we blew it out real quick and got back home. But
Got
that
each
was-
other's backs.
yeah, so that was fun. Like almost dying. Be like, we have to clean.
We have to get the cleaning done. Let's tie Josh to a ladder so he
Yeah.
doesn't fall out the window. Like you guys did a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Young
well,
boys.
you gotta get it done.
Young men.
Well, we did that. We had another time. So since then, since my Subaru, I've always had Tacomas. I've had 3 of
Right.
them, and they're 4-wheel drive, and they're just big truck tires, and they're awesome in the snow.
Yeah.
Like I've never had a problem since because it's just 4-wheel drive is different than all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic. And this truck, my new truck, is awesome in the snow.
I bet.
It just
I kept thinking, I wish I took Jeremy's truck with me today. And he took my car and
well,
would not have fishtailed and
I
turned
didn't
all
know
the way around.
I didn't know it was gonna snow. So
I knew it was going to snow, but it wasn't supposed to snow until later. So we're like sitting there in Starbucks and like, oh my gosh, I guess we need to leave.
yeah, we should probably
We
get
should probably
going.
get out of here.
We went down to Virginia Beach. It was for one of the Christmas ones back in the day, and I think we took my truck down. It was still a Tacoma at 4-wheel drive, and it was like crazy blizzard conditions. We put it off going down for a day, and then it was snowing all the way down south.
That's crazy.
And then we got into it was fine in PA, and then we got into Maryland, and
Disaster.
a large portion of the southern population they don't see a lot of snow.
Yeah.
So they're not like the Poconos. They don't know what they're
Right.
doing. So they were slamming their brakes. People were spinning out like crazy. We got into Maryland, and I saw actual like those huge dump trucks with those monster plows on them
Yeah.
tipped over in the
Oh,
ditch on the side.
no.
We had and my brother drove a lot of the way, like just like 4-wheel drive, and we were fine. But like I still remember this one dude was in a what was it, Dodge Dakota, rear wheel drive, and he just starts fishtailing back and forth, like, and it starts spinning, and like what do you what do you do when the car starts spinning?
You turn with the spin. Like if your front of you is going to the left, your back of you is going to the right, you turn your steering wheel to the left.
And then what are you doing with the gas?
Nothing.
Nothing, right?
Don't touch it.
Yeah.
Don't
right.
touch the brake. Don't touch the gas.
Yeah,
You let
you
it go.
steer into it,
Let
yeah.
it calm down. And then if you, like for me yesterday, I started spinning the opposite way. Turn it, my front's going to the right, my back's going to the left. Turn the wheel to the right. Let it correct. And then just, when you get straight, you feel like you've got some traction. Tap the brake slightly. Tap the brake slightly.
Yeah.
Or the gas pedal, however fast you're going, whatever you need to
Right,
do. You
right.
can. But don't turn your wheel the opposite way. Don't try to recorrect. That's how you spin round and round.
This dude starts
I don't know.
starts going. He fishtails this way, back the other way, and then when he fishtails again, he guns it and turns the wheel. And then as he's gunning it, I mean, we just see his tires are going crazy fast.
Oh no.
And we're coming up to him as he's like across the lanes. His tires caught and he just rocketed off the road, and then like just the front end went in this huge snowbank.
Oh my gosh.
And then we're like, oh dude, he's not getting out of that.
No.
We just kept going.
Oh dear.
But
Wow.
it was like, yeah, let's slam the brakes and then gun the gas. It was
No,
just
don't do that. That's the worst idea.
a bad theory. So,
You want to feather. You have to feather the whole way. Be very ginger with those pedals.
I would go out in my Subaru in the snow on purpose because you could huck it into corners, and then since it was stick shift, could downshift and then gun it, and then all four tires would grip up, and it was fun.
Good for you.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
All around.
Thankfully,
Maybe don't do that. But
Yeah. Thankfully, yesterday, I think all of us who were driving on the road were caught on the road. It was none of us. I don't think anybody was going, let me just go do my grocery shopping. Like no one was out voluntarily.
except my dad.
Except your dad. I know.
He doesn't
But
care. He's got all-wheel drive.
He's
It's
got
fine.
all-wheel drive, and it was at the end of the snow.
Yeah.
It wasn't nearly as bad.
That's true.
It was definitely coming down lighter.
Yeah.
And I think they had been having more people out cleaning stuff. But anyway, most people were not out voluntarily on the really bad back roads. Because when we were around where we live, those roads were better
Yeah.
than
yeah.
the main roads where I was fishtailing and spinning.
Gotcha.
But it seemed like most people, thankfully, other than the couple people who did passing, now they were passing in better vehicles equipped for the snow. I get it. Most everyone did a great job. I was really pleased. I didn't see any big accidents, and we had a lot of fishtailing and swerving, but like no one crashed. Everybody was fine.
There you go.
Hopefully everybody made it home.
And I will say I pass people all the time in the snow in my truck, so I'm not going to hold it against them for passing you.
Yeah.
If you're going slow.
Well,
That's
and
the
it was not me. Yes, they passed me, but it was because I was stuck behind the fishtailing Cadillac.
Right.
And the Cadillac was not, he was struggling.
Yeah.
He was not doing very well. And they whipped around, and I'm like, oh my goodness, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we talked about the one snow before where that Porsche couldn't make it up the hill.
Yeah.
Talking about that. But anyway, I
Yeah,
think
so I think that was a good snow story. I didn't mean to bring that up. That's so funny.
Oh, it's good. It's good stuff. It's just bringing back good memories of almost dying on the road.
Yeah, but we didn't. I'm here.
You
We're
made
good.
it. We're all good in the hood.
Yeah.
So, all right, girl. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode.
Yeah, thanks everybody for listening.
Yeah. All right.
Bye. And that is it for us today, folks. This is a wrap for episode number 7 of The Painter and the Pixie. This episode was sponsored by Audible. You can go to www.audibletrial.com/The Painter and the Pixie to get your 1-month free trial and a free audiobook. The 2 books that we talked about here on our show that we think might be a really good option for you to start off with your free book are The 12 Rules for Life, An Antidote to Chaos by Jordan Peterson, or Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. You'll hear us talk a lot about the 12 Rules for Life because Jeremy's finished with it, but I'm still working my way through.
Big fan.
Big fan. It's awesome. And then the Ready Player One's coming out, I think, in March.
Yep. The movie.
Yeah, the movie's coming out. So I'm one of those people, I like to read the book ahead of time before I watch the movie. So jump on your free trial, listen to the book ahead of time, and then go enjoy the movie.
Yeah. It's super awesome.
Pretty
You
fun.
guys will not regret it.
Yeah. So you can find the link to the Audible account, the Audible free trial, on our website, thepainterandthepixie.com, in our show notes. You can also find it in the platform links, from all of the other places you find us.
Yep. Yeah, any of the show information and any of the iTunes app, Stitcher, all that stuff, it'll be in there as well.
Awesome. And then you can also follow us on Instagram for show updates and fun little tidbits at The Painter and the Pixie.
So that is going to do it for us this week, guys. Super appreciate everybody listening and or watching if you're doing that. Like, subscribe, give us a good review on any of your respective platform. That would be super appreciated.
Yeah.
And until next week, have a good one. Stay safe. And
drive carefully in the snow.
Yes, absolutely. Turn into the spin.
Turn into the spin.
Yeah.
Don't slam on the gas. Don't slam on the brakes.
Yeah, avoid those last two.
Yeah, for sure.
Particularly.
And have a good week, guys.
Amazing.